Hello guys, Abel here back with another video, and today we are going to be talking about muscular potential, and more specifically the muscular potential for men with average-ish genetics. So this is not going to be a video about how big a natural lifter can possibly get. There are plenty of videos out there about that. This is going to be what can you realistically expect to achieve if you don't have remarkable genetics. Now, just a warning ahead, this video is not going to be super duper scientific. So if you came here to learn something revolutionary or to really nerd out about this topic, you might be disappointed at the end. So you might as well just close it now. So really, this is just my observation through watching people's journeys in the fitness world. Some of these people I know personally. I also watch my clients' progress and how they improved over time. So kind of the numbers that I will cite in this video are based on that. Now, there are models out there about genetic potential, muscular potential, and I want to talk about this a little bit because I think it's important to understand what these models are actually meant to represent. So for example, there is the fat-free mass index model, which simply just says, okay, most lifters that are natural, they are unlikely to go over an FFMI of 25. And that is 100% correct. Most people won't. But what this model does not say is that, okay, over 25 is unlikely, but up to 25 is something that most people can achieve. It doesn't say that at all. And that's important to understand because if you look at people that have crazy impressive physiques, many times if they're truly natural, most of the time it won't even reach an FFMI of 24. So 24 is already pretty damn big. And most people that you follow that are truly natural, if you're like, my God, he has a really amazing physique, I wonder if one day I could get there, oftentimes they will have an FFMI of around 23. And if I really had to put a number on this, and I don't like to do that, and I will explain why in a second, but if I really had to put a number on that, most people with average-ish genetics can get to an FFMI of around 22. Some will be a bit below that, some will be a bit above that, but that's actually super impressive. That would be a guy at 5'11" or 180 centimeters at 175 pounds or around 80 kilograms at 10% body fat. Like that is a stud. That is actually really impressive. But the reason I don't like the FFMI calculation kind of model is because it's actually really hard to determine this, because for that you need to know your body fat percentage. And that is just a complete shit show, because really the only time when you can truly accurately estimate your body fat percentage is when you're in stage condition, or at least reasonably close to it. So in the case of Eric Helms, for example, when he was 100 kilograms and he looked a bit chunky but still good, you know, what's his body fat percentage there? Let's say it's 20% body fat. Now then his FFMI would be 24. Later, when I believe he was 88 kilograms, I made some notes on it, so I might have to cheat a bit. So he was 88 kilograms. His body fat is what? Maybe 12% body fat? At that point, let's just look it up, his FFMI would be 23.3, okay? Then at 82 kilograms, what is his body fat here? 8%. Let's just be really generous and let's say it's 7%. Then his FFMI would be 22.7. And then in stage condition, his walk around weight would be around 80 kilograms. Let's say he is 5% body fat. Then his FFMI would be 22.6. So which one is it then? Is it the 24 at 100 kilos or is it the 22.6 at 80 kilos? I don't know, because it's really hard to tell, you know, how much more lean body mass can you hold at 20% body fat, because you can hold more. How much muscle are you actually losing when you're dieting down? And what is actually your body fat percentage when you're kind of chunky and you're 100 kilos and it's a bit tough to estimate what your body fat percentage really is. So anyway, for that reason, I don't really love the whole FFMI thing. And then there is the other model, which is the KC-Butt model, which is no longer available on the internet, but Menno actually put it on his site. And I recommend that you check this calculator out. I linked it in the show description. It's really interesting. And this tries to take a more objective look at this. So it doesn't just look at your FFMI or your height and weight. It also looks at your frame size. So this calculator will ask you about your wrist size, your ankle size, your neck size. And that's good because all of that is an indication of how big your bone structure is, basically. And I talked about this in previous videos that your overall frame size, your bone structure, is a strong determinant of how muscular you can be. Because the bigger your bone structure, basically the more muscle that can support. So it's good that it tries to take a more objective look at this. However, when I plug my data into this, it shows that at 7% body fat, I should be, I just looked it up, I should be at that body fat percentage, so 7%, 87.8 kilograms. So almost 200 pounds. Now, the last time I was at 7% body fat, which was not that long ago, I was around 77 kilos. So over 10 kilos or 22 pounds below this predicted value. Now, the reason this model predicted such a high number for me, the reason why it's so off, is because the way this predicts your numbers is by looking at the database of elite bodybuilders. So basically what this calculator says is that with your stats, so with my wrist size, my ankle size, there was a guy before who was 87.8 kilos at 7% body fat. And I'm sure that that is the case. But will that happen for me? No way. No way. I mean, look, probably when I was dieting down to 7% body fat, I was cutting a little bit too aggressively, so probably I lost a bit of muscle, some needless extra lean body mass. So maybe if I did everything perfectly, I could have been 78 kilos, maybe 79 kilos. I doubt that I lost that much muscle, but maybe. And let's just say that for the next 15 years, I could gain an additional 5 kilograms of muscle. Okay, let's just be super, super generous. Probably I can't, or a lot of you might say I can't, and you might be right, but let's just be generous. We are still looking at 83, 84 kilograms at 7% body fat, so it's still quite some ways off. So, this is the limitation of this calculator, and I listen to people who have actually really impressive genetics, definitely better than me, and they also said that, well, according to this calculator, I'm like 15 pounds away from achieving the values that they give me. And then there is one final model, which is actually very simple. Martin Berkhan proposed it, and it's super straightforward. It simply says that you take your height in centimeters, you subtract 100 from that, and that is your weight in stage condition. So when you step on a bodybuilding stage with veins running across your abs and glutes and whatever, then that should be your body weight. And the thing with this model is it's actually pretty good, but I would say that this is pretty good for people with good genetics. Okay, not great genetics necessarily, definitely not, oh my god, this is a freak of nature, how is this possible type genetics, but definitely above average genetics. So if I'm looking at the people who definitely fall into that category and are natural and that I know of, so Eric Helms, Menno Henselmans, Steve Hall from Revive Stronger, AJ Morris, all of these guys are roughly at that number. So I would say that for these people, it's great. For people who don't have quite as good genetics, it's overshooting it a little bit. At least that's my opinion and that's my observation. So what is that number in my opinion? So what is your realistic muscular potential in my opinion? Here it goes. And again, I apologize for it being so simple, but it is really simple. So that is, you take your height in centimeters, you subtract 100 from it, and that is your body weight at a decently aesthetic, beach lean-ish condition. Okay, that's it. What is a beach lean condition? It's very non-specific. In fact, it should be, because there is no such thing as the average person. It's still a range. So in my opinion, a beach lean condition could be anything from 9 to maybe even up to 15% body fat. I mean, 15% is actually a lot leaner than most people think. 15% is not, oh, I actually don't see my abs at all, so I think I'm around 15%. No, 15%, you definitely see your abs, and you actually look pretty lean, definitely compared to the average population, but you can actually take some pretty impressive selfies of yourself day to day if you want, because that looks good. So, but that could be like a 5 kilogram range still. And so what I did here, and this is kind of the point of this video, is I asked you guys on Instagram, I announced this and you were kind enough to respond to it, to submit some case studies. So show me a picture where you're in this kind of a condition, so beach lean-ish, visible abs, some good muscle separation, that kind of a stuff. You list your height and weight, and also I wanted people to submit this who at least have been training for 5+ years. So this is what I want to show you here, and what I actually did was I compiled all of this data into a spreadsheet, which was not that difficult because I got like 20 case studies, and I took an average of their weight and I looked at, for each individual person, how much did they deviate from the number that I predicted. So let's say if a guy was 5'11", so 180 centimeters, I would predict that in beach lean-ish condition, he would be around 80 kilos. So if this guy was 90 kilos, then he deviated by 10 kilos from the predicted value. Okay, so interestingly, what I found is that the average deviation from my predicted value was half a kilo. Okay, so we might as well just say that I got it exactly right. Half a kilo is super insignificant, especially if we take it into account that not everybody was equally lean. So I pretty much got it on the money. However, the standard deviation was like 6.5 kilos. Okay, and that is huge. So there were some people who were significantly below this, and there were some people who were significantly above this. And this is actually nothing revolutionary. It's actually exactly what I would expect, because I didn't specify that I only want case studies from people with average genetics. So all kinds of people submitted their case studies, and guess what? This is just real life. People differ in their genetics. Some people will be just much more impressive, at least in terms of muscularity, than others. So anyway, basically, I just want to run through these case studies and kind of show you what I actually got. So I'm just going to open it now. So here we have case study number 1. And as you can see here, the deviation is 0 kilograms. So here, I got it exactly right. He is exactly as heavy as what I would have predicted him to be. Now, he's actually pretty lean, so he might be, 10, maybe even 9% body fat. So he could actually get a little bit heavier, and then he would skew this average a little bit higher. But, this is definitely beach lean conditioning, not completely shredded, but looks very good and very lean, and exactly just as heavy as what I would have thought. Next case study, this is 2 kilograms heavier. He's not as lean as the previous guy, so if he got a bit leaner, then maybe I would be exactly right. But, this still definitely falls into the beach lean category. Next guy, let's see what we have here. Plus 3 kilograms, so he is a bit heavier still. If I recall correctly, he has been training for a very long time, so he definitely put in the work. He's not super lean, so he might be 14-15% body fat. I mean, his chest, his shoulders are not that lean, but his, stomach still looks pretty good. He can definitely be proud of his physique when he goes to the beach. So a little bit heavier, but not too bad, not too bad. Next one, plus 5 kilograms. Now this one, you can definitely see if you just look at his structure, the shoulders, the arms, he's above average in terms of muscularity. So definitely you can tell that the potential is there. And, just as you would expect, he is quite a bit heavier than what I would have predicted. Next guy, holy crap, way over what I would have predicted. If I recall correctly, he is actually a bodybuilder and he has been training for a very long time. And you can definitely tell that he is pretty gifted in terms of muscular potential just by looking at his structure. To be perfectly honest, I wouldn't have thought that he's 9 kilograms heavier than what I would have predicted. He looks good and he's very muscular, don't get me wrong, but 9 kilograms, just by looking at this picture from this angle, at least, I wouldn't have thought. But, maybe if I saw him from another angle, then it would have been a different story, who knows. But again, you can sort of just see, and this is a good example of this, that body weight doesn't tell you the whole picture. So, because 9 kilograms over the average kind of value is like, holy shit, you're like so superior. And he's superior, but I wouldn't have thought that he's a freak, Next picture, 11 kilos. Oh my goodness. Like, have you been eating lead or how are you so heavy? But, jokes aside, you can definitely see that this is a very muscular guy, very stacked and very dense. I don't know how tall he is because I don't have the height and weight data written down here, just the deviation. But maybe he's a shorter guy because there sometimes we see that people just have this really stacked build. But, you can just tell by looking at his overall structure that he definitely has the blessing of the gods when it comes to muscularity. Next one, again, an outlier, 11 kilos heavier. And in this case, I would say, yeah, that's pretty much what I would guess just by looking at him. Look at those shoulders and those arms. He was blessed when God put him together. So people are just different, He could be a great bodybuilder if he really tried. Or maybe he is. I'm actually not sure. I don't remember exactly. Next one, 0 kilos. So this is exactly what I would have predicted. Now, mind you, he could get quite a bit leaner still, and he still wouldn't be anywhere near stage conditioning, but I think this qualifies as beach lean. I mean, I don't know what beach lean means to you, but to me it's you look good on the beach. So I think he falls into that category for sure. Yeah, probably if he actually got down to maybe 10% body fat or something like that, then he would actually skew this average lower, which is actually surprising because if I just look at the shoulders and the arms here, he definitely seems like he has a fair amount of muscle on him. So again, body weight just doesn't tell you the whole picture sometimes. Next one, so this one is Nikola Tomov. He is one of the members of the Aesthetic by Science crew, which is a coaching company based in Bulgaria. So if anybody of you watching this are Bulgarians, I definitely recommend that you check them out. They are really cool guys. I really like them. I met Nikola and he is a super cool guy. And I mean, look at this physique. He looks awesome. I mean, he looks fantastic. And, in a t-shirt, dressed up, he definitely doesn't look like a freak. But when the shirt comes off, then, different story. And he's very lean here and is exactly what I would predict. Now, again, he could actually get quite a bit fatter and he would still look great. So then he would skew this upwards. But, this definitely qualifies as beach lean conditioning, kind of on the lower end. So this is like in shooting distance from the shredded category or the kind of photo shoot category. But yeah, again, just look at this. He's not super heavy, which kind of indicates that he doesn't have like super mega hyper outlier level muscle mass, but he still looks amazing. Next one, again, interesting, -3 kilos. So it's actually less than what I would predict or what my average value would be. And you would never tell. Like, this is a very well-developed physique and very muscular, actually. Look at those pecs and that overall structure. Like, this is a very well-built physique. So again, like, don't get too caught up with your body weight and the scale weight. Like, don't forget to use the mirror test. Like, actually look at your physique. If it looks good, like, who gives a shit what the scale weight is? I mean, are you competing in some who has the most impressive lean body weight competition or FFMI competition? Like, no, you want to look a certain way. And he certainly looks the part. So, but he's a bit lighter, actually. And, that would indicate less muscular than what I would predict. Next one, again, is this beach lean conditioning? I think it looks good. Definitely can be proud of himself if he takes his shirt off at the beach and he's 4 kilos lower. And, if he was to go down to maybe 12% body fat or so, he would be a bit lighter still. Next one, -4 kilos again. He's quite lean and looks good. Just by looking at this picture, I would say that there is more potential there. So I don't know how close he really is to his muscular potential. This might be just the angle. So maybe if I saw him from different lighting, different shades and different angles, I would have a different take on that. But just by looking at him from here, I would say that he probably can still put on a little bit of muscle. But there will be more case studies like this, so I think this will be interesting. Yes, so this next one, -6.5 kilos. And the thing is, and this might be a very offensive thing to say, but honestly, just by looking at him, I just really feel like there is a lot of potential there still. Like, to me, this physique doesn't look like someone who doesn't have good genetics or below average genetics. He just looks like he just hasn't developed himself up to his potential. Like, the physique doesn't have thickness to it. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but there is that kind of, intermediate muscle mass look that I can kind of spot at this point. I think I can recall him saying that he has been training for a long time, something like 10, 11 years or something like that. So I don't know what he did in that time frame. Maybe he did everything perfectly, but maybe he didn't eat enough. Maybe he was using some training program which was not quite optimized. So I don't know what the problem could be here. And maybe he actually is a lower responder to resistance training. But just by looking at him, I really feel like there is a lot more to be gained there in terms of muscle mass. Next one, very similar story, actually. So -8 kilos, which would indicate that this guy is a lower responder, and that could be the case. But just by looking at him, I just feel like there is more potential there. Again, it kind of has that intermediate trainee look to it. I hope this is not an offensive thing to say. I think it's not, because I honestly think that he could actually gain a lot more. And you can never tell just by one picture, but that's honestly my impression. Next one. So this one is a very, very impressive physique and very well built, very muscular. It's interesting that he has so many tattoos that it kind of makes him look less developed, at least from this angle, than what he really is. Like the shades are just not casted that well on his shoulders, so the muscle separation doesn't come out that well, but very, very impressive. And, you know, it's not a shocker that he's 8 kilos over what I would have predicted. And he's very lean as well, which is like extra impressive. Next one. So I had quite some elaborate discussions with this guy, and -8 kilos. And in this case, I'm quite convinced that there is so much potential there still. Like, if I look at this physique, I see good structure, like pretty good overall build, like the shoulders are good, everything looks good. It's just like, let's add some thickness to it. And honestly, a lot of that thickness, it's not just a bro term. I mean, it is a very bro term, I know. But what I mean by that is there is just something that happens over time by being under heavy loads. And it just has a time component to it. So I think I can recall him saying that he was perma-cutting a lot and was not eating enough. And honestly, that's exactly what I'm seeing here. Just someone who missed out on proper, long gaining phases where he let go of the abs a little bit, was not rushing back to cutting right away as soon as he started to look a little bit soft. I think he needs to do a lot more of that. That's my thought when I see a physique like this. Next one, this is, I hope I'm saying this name right, Brian Bornstein. I might have to cut this out if I'm totally butchering his name, but, you know, +6 kilos, and you can just check his Instagram out. He has a very, very impressive build, so definitely above average in terms of genetics, but I thought I might include that here as well. But he has some interesting stories about his transformation journey, so it definitely didn't come to him overnight. So he had to fight for this, which I'm not trying to sell you on the bullshit story of you just have to train for 20 years and then, you know, you can achieve anything. No, but, you know, like after 5-6 years of training, I think he didn't look anywhere near this good. So he still had to optimize what he was doing to actually get here. But the potential was always there. No doubt about that. This guy, this next one, is actually Soták Andrei. That's the guy. You know, the one that we do these podcasts together with? We do a lot of shit talking and address some controversial topics. We did the quarantine cast together during the Corona peak when the lockdowns were happening everywhere. That's him. That's the guy. And, you know, very good physique, very well built. He's a lifetime natural. If you look at his shoulders, a lot of people could easily accuse him of being a juicer, but he's not. He just has really good shoulders, and you should see him from the back. Like, his back and rear delts are insane. I should probably cut in a picture from him. And, you know, +0 kilos. He is exactly what I would predict him to be. And, you know, I will just show another picture of him where he doesn't look not netty, because I guess it's just not after a pumped up workout. So he looks a bit more stringy here. Probably this was done right after waking up or something like that. The previous one was done after a workout. And, you know, very good physique and is exactly what I would predict. And guys, that is actually it, believe it or not. So we are done with our case studies. That was all the 19, I believe, that I got. So as you can see, genetic variance is huge. There are people who are significantly more muscular than what I would predict. Some people are significantly less muscular, but the average is right around there. It's like half a kilo off from my prediction. So again, this is just my observation over time. So your height in centimeters -100, and I can't tell you exactly what your body fat percentage will be when you get there, but you can look good, aesthetic, defined, and, you know, kind of beach lean-ish at that body weight. That's my prediction. If you don't quite get there because you're a lower responder, please don't hate on me. I cannot make promises about this, but this is just my observation. So yeah, I hope you found this video informative. Let me know what you thought. Comment, like, subscribe, and do all these kinds of things. And with that, we will see each other in the next video.